walking through wind, chill up on my skin, through rain, through clouds, through calm, through storm, through struggle, my friend. Nevertheless, I'm in, Muslim to the end. Through rain, through clouds, through calm, through storm, through struggle, till it ends.
Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to welcome you to Islamic Learning with Masjid Al-Sabur. Masjid Al-Sabur is at 4926 15th Avenue in Sacramento, California. The website is www.masjidalsabur.org. And Jummah is at 1:30 every Friday, and everybody is welcome. I'd like to open by saying, with the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. And again, I greet you, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Imam Jannah. I'm the executive director of Masjid, which is an acronym that stands for the Muslim Adhan School of Jannah, Ihsan and Dawah. And I want to thank Masjid Al-Sabur for inviting me to come tonight to make this address to you. And I'm going to stick with my notes because this address, it's a lot to be said. And so I want to stick with my notes to make sure that in this half an hour we can cover this information. But this is a very important information for the Muslim community. And I want to dedicate this talk to the media, to the American media, and to the American Muslims. And I think some information is going to come out that will be helpful for all of us as we go forward and we understand the climate that exists in America today with the war with ISIS and the statements that are being made by politicians about Muslims not being able to come into the United States of America. And it's creating an environment. It's creating an environment, and we all need to kind of upgrade our understanding of Islam and Islamic terminology and how it's being misused by the media. But first I want to talk about the blessings of Allah and how Allah has blessed the Muslims. And I'm just sending this message out to the Muslims to thank Allah for removing you from the so-called holiday called Christmas. It's not a holy day. It could be, but it's not a holy day. If it was dedicated to the birth of Christ, and that was what it was really all about, and people would be discussing his birth and discussing him as the one who was sent by God to complete his mission here on earth, and that's what it was all about, that would be great. But what has happened is the retail manufacturers have created a deity called Santa Claus. And he is a deity because anybody who can provide gifts for everybody on earth in one night and know what you've been doing all year, whether you've been good or bad, is a deity. That's a God. Only God knows what you've been doing, whether you've been good or bad, and only God knows it can provide gifts for all of us. In just in a twinkling of an eye. Only God can do that. So to give those powers to a fat man in the North Pole and to tell your children that this is the one who is delivering the presents after Black Friday, then this is all about retail. This is all about making money. And what we find is that during this period of the year, the media is really not telling the truth, that there's more theft during this time. There's more discouragement during this time. There's more, and it's like a guilt trip that people have because they know they're getting ready to spend money that this exorbitant money is getting ready to be spent, so they want to give now to the needy. So they say it's a season of giving. But after January 1st, it's not the season of giving anymore. The spell is broken, and there's no more giving to the charities anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that. They still do, but not like this. Not like it's promoted. It's promoted that this is the time of giving and this is the time of peace, and when really what we find is that there's more violence during this time. The highway patrol is on high alert. People are going to die on the freeways. They're drunk. More alcohol is being consumed during this particular time of the year than any other time. And I know this for a fact because before Allah chose me to be a Muslim, I was in the entertainment industry. And we ran discotheques, and I had the responsibility of going to Union City, California, in November, the beginning of November, before Thanksgiving, and we had to buy all the liquor. We had to buy all the liquor for November, December, and January. And if you didn't buy all of your liquor at that one time, and you ran out after November or after December, you were out of luck. There was no more liquor. The warehouses were empty because this thing, all the clubs, all the bars, everybody is buying their liquor at the same time, so they can get through. And then I had the privilege of watching people drink all that liquor. And I'm talking about we had so much, it was just ridiculous. And then you would think that the highway patrol or the police would be outside of the clubs at 2 o'clock to arrest everybody for drunk driving, because everybody's drunk coming out of the club. Everybody's high, everybody's drunk, and people are wrecking their cars. They're wrecking their lives. Their lives are being destroyed, and they're going to party on on Christmas Eve. This is the birth of Christ. They say this is the day that he was born. It wasn't the day, but he was born. But they say that they're going to party that night, and they're going to get drunk. They're going to wake up in the morning on Christmas morning, and there's going to be a fifth under the tree. They got alcohol under the tree. So Santa Claus is bringing people alcohol and putting it under the tree. And people were drinking in the morning before noon on Christmas morning. These are the traditions. These are traditions. Thank Allah that you've been taken away from that. Thank Allah that He has chosen you to be Muslim, and now you don't participate in that anymore. You don't participate in that activity. But then right now it's right after Christmas, we're heading for New Year's. Everybody knows what's going to happen on New Year's night, New Year's Eve. People are going to party. They're going to be so drunk. They're going to be so intoxicated. It's going to be ridiculous. And getting ready for the new year. This is how they bring in the new year. And thank Allah, we don't have to do that anymore. We don't do that. And not just us as Muslims, good Christians too. And good Jewish people and Buddhist people too. They do not participate in that type of activity. But it's the retail, the manufacturers that are promoting this. And everybody else is caught in the spider web. So I just want to begin by saying that, thank God that you have been chosen to be a person who does not participate in that type of activity anymore. And they can paint the picture any way they want to paint it, and that's what it is. It's propaganda to try to say that this time of the year is the best time of the year, and they start ringing the bells and decorating all the malls and getting everybody ready for that spirit. And then they do create a spirit. They actually do create a spirit in an environment for people to think that this is a holy time of the year. But statistics say different. Statistics tell us something different. So I'm giving you this example because what I'm going to tell you about the media is the same thing. The media can create a spirit. It can create an environment. And they're doing it right now by making the Muslim feel uncomfortable in this country and around the world. By using terminology that if you use this terminology, it takes the spirit of Islam away from the Muslim. This is intentional. This is not an accident. So we thank God not only for being away from this crazy behavior of alcoholism and partying and things like that, but we also want to take time to thank God for sending Imam W.D. Muhammad. He's no longer with us. He passed in 2008, but while he was here, he did his job. For 33 years, he traveled all over this in the United States of America. I mean, every weekend. He spent more time in the air than he was on the ground. And he met with politicians, and he met with religious leaders, and he met with organizations, and he explained to them this is what Islam is. This is who I am, and this is what Islam truly is. And because a lot of people were confused about Islam, because there were so many different people representing what it was, he had to come and say, let me tell you what it says in the Quran, or let me tell you what the Prophet was about. And he did this for 33 years. He met all the politicians and presidents, and people need to give him credit, because we wouldn't have a good environment right now in America if it wasn't for him. Not the environment we have right now. Wasn't the only one, but he created an environment where now when you try to jump on the Muslim, you really can't do it. There's a lot of Christians and a lot of politicians and a lot of people coming out saying, leave them people alone. They're some good people. They're good people. And plus, our families know us. Our employers know us. But you still have a media that's saying that Muslims are terrorists. And they do it with language. is being done with language. To take our language, our Arabic language, and you might hear a Islamic soldier say, join the jihad. They're going to take that word and say that a jihad means you're a terrorist. If you're a jihadist, they come up with the word jihadist. You're a terrorist. Now, like, if you're an artist, that means that you participate in art. Isn't that right? So if you're a jihadist, that means you participate in jihad. Well, what is jihad? Jihad is the struggle. It could be a struggle in war. It could be a struggle in finance. It could be a struggle with your family. Man trying to go out and support his family. That's jihad. That's struggle. So you're going to take that word and demonize that word and then call terrorists jihadists. You've just taken one of the most important words in Islam away from the Islamic community. And now I can't say I'm a jihadist. I can't say I'm a person of jihad. Because if I say I'm a person of jihad, I might get arrested by Homeland Security. Or I'm an Islamist. What is an Islamist? That's somebody who participates in Islam. So I'm an Islamist, I'm a jihadist, or they say you're a fundamentalist. Of course I'm a fundamentalist. The fundamentals of Islam are the 5 pillars of Islam and the articles of faith. And jihad. And you got different principles. And if you don't practice those principles, you're not a Muslim. That's like saying you're going to be a basketball player, but you're not going to practice the fundamentals. You're going to be a boxer, but you're not going to practice the fundamentals. You're going to play baseball, but you don't know the fundamentals. You can't play the game if you don't know the fundamentals. You can't be a Christian if you don't practice the fundamentals of Christianity. You can't be a Jew if you don't practice the fundamentals of Judaism. So how are you going to tell a Muslim he can't practice the fundamentals? Then you say now it's a new word. They say it's radicalization. Have you been radicalized? Radical only means fundamental. They just found another word to use. They don't want to, I guess they used up fundamental. Now they want to use radicalize. Have you been radicalized? Or they're radicalizing the people. There's nothing wrong with telling the people to practice their fundamentals, to practice their basics, especially if their basics are excellent. I'm going to read something to you that was said by a non-Muslim about our prophet. Prophet Muhammad was a general. Everybody knew. If you know the history of Prophet Muhammad, you know he was a general. And he was an excellent general. And he has strategy. They studied his strategy in the Pentagon. I mean, the man was a brilliant general. He was great. And this is what a non-Muslim said about Prophet Muhammad. He said, Muhammad had invited the Jews and the Christians to join him, for he was not building a new religion. He was calling all who believed in one God to join in a single faith. If the Jews and Christians had accepted his invitation, Islam would have conquered the world. They didn't. They would not even accept Muhammad's innovation of humane warfare. When the armies of the Prophet entered Jerusalem, not a person was killed because of their faith. When the Crusaders entered the city centuries later, not a Muslim man, woman, and child was spared. But the Christians did accept one Muslim idea, the place of learning, the university. This is what Napoleon Hill said in his book, Think and Grow Rich. He had to give you a little biography of Prophet Muhammad's life, because he talked about what a great man he was and how persistent he was. And that was that's the quality of success that all success people have in common, persistence. He said he was the innovator of humane warfare. Prophet Muhammad told his warriors what the rules were for combat. You can't cut down the trees, the fruit trees. You can't kill the livestock. You can't kill the seniors. You can't kill the women. You can't kill the children. You can only fight the men who come to the battlefield to fight you. And if they give up, you got to let them go. You got to stop fighting them. This is the way he started that. Now you have a Geneva Convention and you have all these other kind of rules. He already had that. He already had that in place. But you don't hear the media telling you that in Islam, you can't kill innocent people. You cannot kill innocent people and justify that. But see, one thing that we have to, and I'm saying this as an American. I'm an American. We have not been fair in war. Our foreign policy is not excellent. When we look at shock and awe, when George Bush went into Iraq, they stayed on the internet that 114,000 people got killed. innocents. 114. Now 3,000 died when the buildings fell, when the Trade Center buildings fell. 14 died down in Santa Monica. None of that is San Bernardino. None of that is justifiable. None of that killing is justifiable. But 114,000 people. Okay. Now when you look at ISIS and you look at Al Qaeda, and they say, well, the average age of these guys that are trying to fight are maybe 26 years old, whatever. They're young people. Where were they 26 years ago? If your mama gets killed and your father gets killed and your family gets killed, don't you have a chip on your shoulder? Don't you want to do something to somebody to avenge that? If you can find a warped-minded imam that can justify, that can tell you that you need to come and kill innocent people or you need to strap this bomb on you, well, they got a lot of candidates that want to do that. They have a lot of candidates that want to do that. We have to make sure that when we go to war, that we're not killing innocent people. Because if you kill innocent people, their families are going to come back to see you. They're going to come back to see you. Just like we would go back to see somebody. Isn't that what we do? You knock down our buildings, 3,000 people die. Well, we coming to see you. We coming to see you. That's just normal. But how many innocent people have we killed around the world? So us as Americans, we need to check our politicians. We need to check our generals. And we need to make sure that we don't get into these wars that are killing all of these innocent people. So what we want to do now is we want to try to help the media liberate the Muslim, because Muslims their hands have been tied. We got Muslims that are so passive now today, they don't want to do nothing. They don't want to say nothing. They don't want to be nothing. They become pacifists because why? You can't participate in jihad. And jihad just means struggle, life struggle, the struggle in life, the struggle with your income, the struggle with your academics, struggle with your education, the struggle, with your family life, struggle with your political life. That's jihad. What did Joshua do when he fought the Battle of Jericho? Was that jihad? Yeah, that was jihad. That was struggle. David and Goliath. All the generals were scared of Goliath, and little David come with his slingshot, and then he took care of his business. That's jihad. Samson and the Philistines, that's jihad. It's all throughout the Bible. And when I was a young man, they taught us in church, because I wasn't born a Muslim, to sing these songs. We are soldiers in the army. I'm a little child. I'm 4 years old. We are soldiers in the army. We have to fight, although we have to die. We have to hold up the bloodstained banner. We got to hold it up until we die. I mean, that sounds like jihad to me. Is that Christian jihad? Or whatever. It exists in all religions. And then we sung the song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine. That's jihad. To take the word of God and spread the word of God is jihad. To see the word of God being attacked, or to see a religion being attacked, and you stand up in defense of that religion with your mouth, just saying, don't do that, that's jihad. The prophet teaches us that if you see an injustice, you correct it with your hands. If you can't correct it with your hands, then you correct it with your mouth. If you can't say nothing about it, then at least have your heart. It'd be in a certain position where you start, I just feel bad about it. But if a man, a real man, sees a woman getting jumped on in the street, he's supposed to go out there and jump on that other guy and say, hey, he's supposed to stop that. Okay? Now, if he don't have enough courage to do that, he should at least go out and say, stop that. With his mouth. He should put up enough mouth where the guy maybe even stops just because this guy's hollering at him. But then you got some people that don't say nothing. Won't do nothing, won't say nothing, but their heart goes, that sure was bad what he was doing out there the other night. That's weak. They say that's the weakness of faith. So we're looking for the people who are going to make something happen in life. There's three types of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. And you want to be a part of that first group. And we want the Muslims to be courageous. Don't let anybody take your deen from you. Deen means religion. Deen means way of life. Don't let anybody take your way of life from you. But if you can't use the word Islam, if you can't use the word jihad, if you can't use the word the fundamentals and things like that, they've taken the things that you need actually to survive and actually to be an aggressive Muslim. In fact, they say in the West now that they want the Muslims in America and the Muslims around the world to get on the case of these guys that are killing these innocent people. Well, if we do that, then that's jihad. That's struggle on our part. That we got to go and we got to struggle with these dudes. That's jihad. That's going to be a struggle. That ain't going to be easy. But we're ready to do that. We have to do that. We have to stand up, for what's right. So, but what I want the media to understand is that It's un-Islamic what's going on. Kill innocent people is un-Islamic. So you should use the language un-Islamic terrorists, not Islamic terrorists, radical Islamic terrorism. You can't, that's an oxymoron. You can't use the word Islam and terror in the same sentence together. You can't look at the Klan hanging people and the Klan burning people and say these are Christian terrorists. Christians can't do that. Christians that follow Jesus are not going to burn nobody and hang nobody and say they're superior to people because of their skin color. You can't use the word Christian. You just got to say terrorists or say unchristian or whatever, because they do have a cross. And some of these people label themselves Islamic this and Islamic that, but the media is supposed to be wise enough to know we're not giving you that. We're taking that away from you. You are un-Islamic terrorists. You're un-Islamic in what you're doing. And when you do that, you take power away from them because they want to be seen as Islamic. They want to be seen as the best Muslims. And if you say in the media in unity, no, you're not. You're un-Islamic. You're un-Islamic terrorists. Because when you participate in an activity like we saw in San Bernardino, it's senseless. It don't even make no sense. But I understand the insanity that exists in those people when they have lost their family members with bombs and attacks. And I saw one on the internet. I think I might have the statistics here. They said 60,000 people they died from small arms fire. 60,000, 37,000 from bombs, and 5,000 from airstrikes. This is in Iraq. This is shock and awe. Remember shock and awe? Okay, and so when you got that many people dying, and it's a mother or a grandmother or a grandfather or whatever, then you got kids growing up with vengeance in their heart, saying, I just want an opportunity to get back at somebody. I want an opportunity to do that to you, what you did to me. He don't know that, man, your Quran says, just because somebody else did an injustice to you, don't let that make you swerve and do an injustice too. We can't do that. We have restrictions on us that God has put on us that we cannot do those things to other people. So we have to, I understand where some of those young people are coming from, because we have it happening in our streets. We don't have, I'm from the hood, so can't nobody tell me anything about Iraq and Iran. We got more Iraq and Iran going on in the United States. And we count the deaths that go on not just in Chicago, but in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Oakland, LA, coast to coast, since Iraq. Nobody wants to even talk to you about the numbers of deaths that go on. And we suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome too. And the Crips are trying to kill the Bloods, and the Bloods are trying to kill the Crips because somebody who got shot 10 years ago. Somebody's brother or somebody's mother or somebody's sister or somebody got shot 10 years ago. Now I got to come now, I got to shoot you up. You did drive by on my mama's house, and my sister got killed. Now I got to do a drive-by on your mama's house, and if your sister get killed, it's just collateral damage. That's the way they talk in war. You don't hear our generals talk. Our generals, you don't get to hear the soldiers talk, but that's the way the soldiers talk. It's just collateral damage. You shouldn't have been there in the first place. So I want to thank you for giving me your attention today with this talk, and hopefully we said some things that will ring home. And remember, Masjid Al-Sabur is at 4926 15th Avenue in Sacramento, and Jummah's every Friday at 1:30. And make sure that that you know that everybody's welcome. And Imam, we want to thank Imam Hassan and the board of directors at Masjid Al-Sabur for inviting us to come and speak tonight. And we want to thank you all for your presence. Assalamu alaikum.
You healed me on this day. Praise and praise to you. When I was feeling ill, praise and praise to you. Down with no direction, praise and praise to you.
I want to remind everyone, Masjid As-Sabur, 4926 15th Avenue. Our new masjid is gorgeous. We just finished planting over 100 plants in front of the masjid. We just got through cleaning up the kitchen and getting ready to clean up all of the wudu stations, and we want you to come and join us every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Masjid As-Sabur, Sacramento.
Wale.
We are also on the web, www.masjidassabur.org. And we're on Facebook, so please like us. Again, we thank you for your patience and your time. We want to remind you that God truly has a message for you. And we want to remind you that we are here to give you any help that you may need. As God has taught us, He is a merciful God. As long as you come to Him and ask forgiveness, He will forgive you. So no matter where you are in life, there is a hope for change.